It's the intergalactic soul, the honorable brother, the revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 132 of Powerbombshells. I am Sam and that is Mel. We are just two broads talking about the wrestling that we watch, and we, unlike Darius, what he said that we're live every Sunday, we are here special today on Saturday because there's a big pay-per-view in just a few hours, and we're here to get you hyped for it with our pre-show for All Out. And then also, after All Out, there's going to be a post show with Kevin Ely and Jeremy Feinstein about a half an hour after the main event ends. So make sure that you come back to this very channel right after, because we got you covered all day long.
All day long. I had myself muted because the horn was going off in my town.
I was going to say, we thought we were getting a run-in from either Big Papa Pump or Jordan Grace, but it turns out that it was Mel's sirens. They were doing their monthly test, and it was very long and very loud, so we waited to come on air after because it was picking up for me. So Mel was kind enough to mute herself so I didn't have to hear it, so we waited on that to end so that you guys did not also have to listen to that.
So you can all be assured that the 12 counties in Michigan that participate in the tornado horn program have working tornado horns.
That's a good thing.
It happens the first weekend of the month on usually Saturday, sometimes Sunday, but of course it would happen today because
I like literally right before we were getting ready to go live, it started to go off, and we were like, that was like, we might as well just wait and let it pass. So
no one needs to listen to that. I mean, it's funny for a second, and then after that, it's just like, okay, I'm safe. I get
it. It works. Got it.
That's right.
So,
and I thought I'd wear these to address the elephant in the room, which is that starting next week, we will be going up against the NFL again, and
yes, so
we will be doing our thing, and also 49ers suck.
I don't know if we've got any 49ers fans in the chat, but there you go.
I mean, I don't, plenty of fans, but anyway, just wanted
Nikki
to get
said
that
she wondered.
out.
Because I said she heard me say to you about Big Papa Pump.
Wow, because of the sirens, because you wouldn't have heard them because you couldn't hear what was.
Like it was either Big Papa Pump or Jordan Grace.
I wish that would have been funnier. It's literally. I mean, listen, I'm all about public safety. So
sure, of course.
I do appreciate.
We want the people to be functioning. We do.
I mean, I do. I am glad, and it's a minor inconvenience, really, when you think about it. It's a very first world problem, but still, it's a very loud and annoying first world problem. So.
Yes, it was, as I can detect. It was loud enough that I could hear it through. Yeah. It was picking, because sometimes when Mel and I are on air and the sirens go off, sometimes I can't hear it at all, or it's very faint, but it was in my ear, almost like I was in Michigan with her. So, again, good thing that it works. I am in North Carolina and can attest that the tornado sirens in Michigan work.
We have an outside, objective, secondary opinion. This is science, okay?
It is science. Oh. You should tell your local townspeople that somebody in North Carolina can confirm.
Can confirm
that they work. Which is a good thing.
My tax dollars at work. But anyway.
Well,
like Sam said, and maybe the sirens were really excited about the post show too. They were just excited about All Out because All Out is very exciting.
Yeah, because we witnessed a crime at the end of Dynamite, and Tony made sure to say in the before we got started in the media call that he spent all night trying to keep Hangman Page out of jail for arson, and that he tried to keep him out of jail long enough, at least for the main event tonight in the steel cage match. Because he is not, and he made sure to let you know that because it's unsanctioned, he is not liable for whatever happens in that cage. So, but in the meantime, he's trying to keep Hangman Page out of jail, much like somebody pointed out, much like a member of FTR. Except for one was real, as I said, one was real and one was kayfabe. But
shots fired. But hey, life imitates art. So yeah, here we are.
Wrestling is a mirror.
Very much. Oh man, the funniest thing too, I couldn't help myself because I'm like, the first thing I thought was like, how is he not melting? Because he's so close,
right? Yeah,
it's like. Right. And then Bob's like, it's a perspective trick. And I'm like, no, it's pro wrestling. Like, I mean, I'm not, I shouldn't be trying to like psychoanalyze this because it's wrestling and it's hilarious. But like in my brain, I'm like, if you were sitting that close to that large of a fire, you're like chair and you would
Page. That's why.
But then, yeah, that could be true. But, but good Lord. I mean, what's up, Hangman? I'm so excited for that match.
I am too. I'm looking forward to it.
That match could be like a match of the year candidate
on the show. Like, this is a good card, but I can't wait for this. I'm so excited for whatever this turns out to be. I don't even know if I have any expectations, just because other than it's going to be amazing, because I don't know how you top that segment, because that segment is an all-timer. Not just in AEW, but I think in pro wrestling in general. Like, I think this is a moment you go back to, like, some of the moments and like, what do you remember in wrestling? Like, this is one of those things. Hangman setting Swerve's childhood home on fire. Yeah. And before that, he told Swerve that his father didn't love him and that he probably regrets that he's alive. And I was like, Lord, like, that's really cruel. It's like, I mean, I get it. He broke into your home, but that's a bit much. I mean, and now you burned down
heroic Hangman and pushed him over the edge, and now we're seeing this like mental case that blows up houses and is like, hey, man.
Yeah, because when I saw the video on Twitter earlier in the day, I was watching, I was like, oh, this must have been, I saw it because Swerve had tweeted a couple days before that he had finally got to accomplish something he'd been wanting to do for a really long time. He thanked Nana for helping him. And so then I saw the video and I was like, oh, this must have been what what Swerve was talking about. And then I kept watching and I was like, you can very clearly see the house address above the door. Like, that's gonna lead, not even thinking necessarily at first about Hangman, I was like, that's gonna lead some weirdos maybe to your home. And then I was like, it's gonna lead Hangman to his home. So I sent it to the group chat and they were like, oh, Hangman's definitely burning down that house tonight. So and I thought, and you know, people even asked about that on the media call, like, it was obvious what was going to happen, like, once we saw what it was, but it still like exceeded expectations, and it still, people were still excited to see it. And he was like, even though it was like obvious, like, we all were like, oh hell, and they were like, you can tell we're wrestling fans because we saw that and we're like, hell yeah, he's gonna burn down his house and it's gonna be awesome. Like, we were rooting for it.
Yeah, we are a twisted breed.
We're like, he broke into his home, yes, so he should respond by burning down his childhood home.
That's right. I mean, if you're gonna leave it out there like that, it's the internet age, dude. Like,
right?
Bro.
Yeah, Tony said on the media call, he was like, you know, if this happened like in banking, like, people would be shocked and like, you would be in prison. But because it's the world of pro wrestling, like, people aren't surprised and they're just like, okay, well, now what? Now how do we get revenge on that? And he was like, obviously in the real world, this would have raised a lot of questions.
But in wrestling, the two men now duke it out in a steel cage, and their boss is like, I ain't touching this.
He's like, whatever happens. It's, if he dies, he dies. It's not on me.
That's right. Yep.
I'll just be watching like everybody else.
I guess it cuts payroll for him, like without him having to like do any of the heavy lifting.
There you go. Yeah, and he just swerved to that giant extension. And now he might like not make it out of a cage tonight. Who knows?
Maybe. This is gonna be.
As you can tell, we're so excited about it. We haven't even talked about the rest of the card. We went straight for the main event.
To the end.
We have to go. We had to talk about what happened on Wednesday, obviously, and then which was phenomenal. And then we had the 3-hour block of TV last night. I was on live coverage for Collision, and there's a lot that happened. The main event of Collision was so long that it went to the opening match of Rampage. Yeah. And so I felt like I was typing forever. So it's like, and then it was funny because I didn't do live coverage of Rampage. My editor did, because the normal girl who does it was off yesterday because she's doing the live coverage of the pay-per-view today. And so he was like, so I told him like, I told him that like I put it, he was like, I finished it. And I said, do you need me to do Rampage? And he's like, nope, I started my Rampage coverage with that with the ending of that match. And so that match got covered very well. And I even wrote, like I typed in my notes, it's Rampage now. And then like continued writing what was happening.
I have to make a note for myself here. Now it's on Rampage.
If you're not watching and you're following along, this match is so long that it has now gone into the next hour, the next TV show. Now, because I wondered, like last night I was talking to my editor and I was like, they haven't announced anything for Rampage. I was like, that's really weird. Well, that was apparently then like towards the end of Collision, they announced well, we knew MXM Collection versus House of Black was happening, but they just said on Friday, so we didn't know which Friday show it was, and it ended up being the Rampage portion of the show. But yeah, and then Tony likes to do this on Collision. He likes to announce matches, and then there's always like one or two unannounced matches that I'm not prepared for this, and I'm like, this is not on. And then so he did it last night, and he added in two. They were like tag team matches. It was because he added the Outrunners who got their first.
Was it the Outrunners match? Was that one of the matches?
The Outrunners versus Iron Savages, which I almost wrote Iron Sausages, and I wrote SAU, and I was like, nope, not that. Let me fix that. And the Outrunners got their first TV win last night, so that was really cool to see. Everybody in 1987 is very excited about that.
I love them.
I do too. I love that they did the Predator handshake like over and then that's their finisher. Their finisher is called Total Recall. Great. And I really love that they've added Erica Lee with them. I just love them. They're so much fun.
They're so great. There's like this whole there's this like weird hate cult out there for them. I'm like, if you don't get this, you can't be. How are you a wrestling
selling
fan?
Merch like crazy? I saw something yesterday
that they want some. I think they're awesome.
It's Mel Coleman that did their latest shirt. Mel Coleman did it.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
Then I knew it. I saw the other day that they said it sold out like at the show it sold out, but then I saw something yesterday that they're outselling Swerve. Their shirt is doing so well. And somebody joked that it's Hangman buying all the merch just to mess with Swerve some more. That it's Hangman. He has all the Outrunner gear.
I mean, anything is possible at this point.
Yeah.
You burned a man's house down, okay?
Yeah, maybe he will. If he's petty enough to burn down your childhood home, he's petty enough to buy out the Outrunners merch so that it outsells you.
Yeah.
That seems
that's
a level of petty, but not like
you can't even outsell the Outrunners.
Did you see the new Hangman shirt that came out yesterday? It's the Swerve Whose House symbol, but it's on fire.
No, but I think I might want that now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's great.
We have our local town festival is going on this weekend, so we popped by the brewery to see how everyone was doing because we know people. We have this festival called Good Old Days, and it's like all based around the trains that were in here and everything. So I was nice. I missed a bunch of stuff, but then we got home in time for the block. And I was like, wait, switch it over. Because when we were talking about FTR and the bald guys and that whole thing, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, so, that GYV match was not announced last night.
So
that was a surprise match too.
That was the other match then.
That
worked perfectly.
With fake Drake. If you were a part of the chat last week, we were talking about how James Drake of GYB, that is his wrestling name, as where JD Drake of Workhorseman, his real name is James Drake. So we had the Brad in the chat last week and said to call him fake Drake. And so I had forgotten about it until he was in the ring last night. And I was like, look, it's fake Drake.
Fake Drake.
Or James Fake. Wait, with James Fake,
James
I think
Fake.
James Fake is what it was. James Fake.
James Fake.
James Fake. So now if that's what we're going to be talking about, I can't wait for, that's what I told JD Drake came up in my timeline last night. And I was like, please hurry back so that you can fight James Drake for your name.
Ooh, I like this. I'm into this. Let's do it.
But yes, so we have, surprisingly, as of 1:21 p.m. Eastern time, I'm sure as we get closer to the show or during the pre-show, more matches will get added. But
yeah, I was actually shocked.
As of right now, there is one 0-hour show that was announced last night during Rampage, I think.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. Everything just kind of runs together with that because I was watching it, but I think it was announced. So they did a backstage segment with Top Flight. And then it was also Shane Taylor Promotions with our tribe bull chief, Beast Mortos.
Oh, I did not. They didn't really have any.
Yeah, they did graphic. And then, yes, as you can see here, and then Undisputed Kingdom. So this is a match that's happening. It's basically an ROH match that has spilled over into AEW, which, is their thing, unless your name is Athena or Red Velvet.
What a weird thing. That never
happened.
happened.
If you're a woman with an ROH title, then no, your stories don't go here.
This is my favorite one right here. Here we go.
But I am looking forward to this match. I like all of the teams, but I'm really excited for Shane Taylor Promotions with Beast Mortos.
Me too. I really like that. I'm
very excited for that.
It's a lot of fun.
I was hoping, like I said a few weeks ago, that I wanted Takeshita versus our tribal chief. And then we got a tease last week during Rampage's main event. It was the 4-way. These two were like trying to outdo each other. And so then they got put in a singles match last night with the winner moving on to the Continental Classic match. Or Classic, it was a Continental Contenders match last night. I think it was another C word. I think it was like 3 C's. Because you know how Tony likes to name his things. He makes them big long names. But we finally got that last night. There was one spot though that I don't think went quite as well as they thought. I think Mortos was trying to be as safe as possible, but it looked like he might have dropped Takeshita a little bit, and like it made me gasp. Like I covered my mouth and gasped because luckily it appears Takeshita is okay, but it just made me really nervous because I don't think it was supposed to look like that, but maybe it was. It did. Like Nikki was like, I think he was just trying to be safe as possible, and then just the landing didn't go the way it was supposed to. And commentary was like, oh my god, they were like, what was that? They were like, we hope everything's okay, because he landed like on his shoulder. Thankfully he was able to finish the match. But so yeah, Beast Mortos. And it's funny because Beast Mortos has done stuff with Undisputed Kingdom, and Roddy was like, why are you with them? You're supposed to be helping us. And he's just like, and Shane Taylor was like, no, he's with us now. So I don't know if this will be a permanent thing or just for one night only at 0 hour, but this is a match that's happening. It's an ROH match. It's actually it's an ROH match that's also a Collision match. Like this is a match you would find on Collision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're like, Tony's like, it's Saturday. Let's just put it on 0 hour. But yeah, so as of now, this is the only 0 hour match. But knowing Tony, And just as for
It's
evidence
so
of what I told
weird
you
that
last
he
night with
hasn't added
Collision,
anything else.
because I checked while we were waiting on Mel's siren to stop. I checked their Twitter just to make sure that they didn't surprise announce a 0 hour match, but I assume something will get added because I don't think they're going to do just an hour and a half because I think they're at 6:30. I think that's their thing now is 6:30. So it's like there's no way that they're having just this match. So I assume something else will be getting added to this card.
Maybe they're trying to push people to watch their pre-stuff that they do.
Yeah, perhaps.
So that you get maybe like one more. But I was surprised because when I put the thing together, I was like, there's only 9 matches on this card right now.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and there's like 2 street fights in this, basically. Like there's a cage match and a street fight. So maybe you should probably keep it to 9 because that's
well, and it could go a while because like at World's End they only did like 7 or 8 matches, and it's because they did the Iron Man match. So
yeah, that's like, what I was thinking.
I was like, I'm assuming they're going to give Swerve and Hangman some time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're going to get an hour, but I think they're going to get some time, and perhaps that's why they're so short on matches. And I don't know. Yeah, and it's interesting that Mariah doesn't have a match. I mean, she wrestled Nyla, which we talked about last week. That's what you do when you're champion. You wrestle Nyla. Like that's usually your very first opponent. If it's not your first opponent, it's your second one. So we got that out of the way. It was a great match. It got time. I'm so glad that they're using Nyla more. But then it appears that Mariah does not have a match as of right now. There's nothing announced for her. So it doesn't. I guess she's not going to have a match tonight unless there's some kind of surprise
maybe
last minute addition.
Maybe she gets involved in something.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. And then because I didn't watch the clip, but I saw that Toni Storm is in Australia. She went back to the school where she was training, and the local news station did a story about it. And so I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did. There was you know what? I think I did see that. Paul said that May has a celebration. I forgot she didn't want to do her title celebration in the college town. That's right. She wanted to move it. I don't know how I missed that because she was talking about it last night. But yes, thank you for that. So there is that. So that'll be I don't know if it'll happen here or if it happens in the TBS championship match or if it even happens at all tonight. But I did see shortly before we went on air, Giselle Shaw posted a video because Giselle Shaw announced earlier this week she's been granted her release from TNA. And she posted a video today and said she was checking out one of Taylor Swift's stadiums and she was at All In. You can see the AEW from All In, from like where they were at, you can see the top of, you know how they have the covering over the stage. The AEW stage was there, and so she was at All In. I don't know if she was just there or if they're recruiting her or if she has been signed and perhaps she shows up tonight in that celebration or does something, because Camille is banned from ringside, which we'll get to with Mercedes. But so perhaps Giselle gets involved there, or maybe Giselle maybe she's trolling because it's a pay-per-view and we know how wrestlers like to work the internet. So maybe she was just attending as a fan and decided, hey, it's pay-per-view day. I'm just going to put this video out there. And so it could be any of the above.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. David, I actually just was talking to someone about that last night, the TNA show at Wayne State.
Nice. Well, see, that works perfectly. We're talking about TNA, Bound for Glory.
That kind of works in. One of the people I was talking to last night who promoted the show here in my town, he was like, are you going to TNA? And I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like someone told me about that, which it was David has mentioned that once before, I believe. And so I am going to look into that because it's going to be a bunch of tapings and the show.
Well, and Bound for Glory is one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year. That's usually Yeah, that's usually they usually book it really well. There's usually a lot of really good matches. Sometimes it's where people come in. Unfortunately, when WWE was releasing a lot of people a few years ago, a lot of times that's when their 90 days would be up and they'd show up at Bound for Glory. So Bound for Glory could potentially, I've not been keeping up with the tapings, but obviously they also have the relationship with NXT. So that can come into play because there's been a lot of crossover there. Julia just made her debut this week. So perhaps they do something with her there. Jordan Grace has hinted, I mean, I'm not sure when I know that they are letting her contract end earlier than it was supposed to. I think it's still scheduled to end next year, but she tweeted the other day and said something about it's time to play the game. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but that's something if you're able to go to TNA, that might be a show that you want to go to. Because like I said, Bound for Glory is generally one of their biggest shows of the year, and they usually do a lot of really cool stuff and usually have people coming in and things of that nature.
Well, my immediate response, because I was like, well, yeah, I want to see Joe Hendry.
Exactly. That's
I was like, what am I doing? See, I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
I could say his name and he could actually appear this time.
Right. We could actually have that. You could have that happen. And that alone for me would be worth the price of admission.
When the person I was talking to last night said that to me, they were like, are you going to TNA? And I was like, when is it again? And they told me, and I was like, yeah, I want to see Joe Hendry. I was like, what am I doing?
Right. And you better see him now before he probably will. And I'm sure whenever his deal is up, he's probably going to WWE because he has definitely gotten himself super over. And he is a character that I think
crossing over a lot. So.
He is definitely a sports entertainment type of character. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that as in a way that I think could fit in and do well. Because we've already seen how he has gotten himself over, that I think that he could, I expect both him and Jordan to be gone as soon as the contracts are up. I expect WWE to sign them. But yeah, so that sounds like it would be a fun show. And again, Joe Hendry is reason enough to go.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, wait a minute. So I'm going to look into that if it's something that we can pull off. We've got crazy amount of things going on. It's the fall.
Yeah, David mentioned that Giselle asked for her release so she can go join Scott D'Amore's new promotion, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling.
Maple Leaf, which is right
around here. I can see her involvement there, but Takeshita, they just announced, because the first show is 2 days. It's October 19th and October 20th. The October 19th show, they announced that Takeshita is wrestling Speedball. And I was like, inject it directly into my veins.
Wow, that sounds like a match. I gotta
And then the second night is, I believe, is Takeshita versus Josh Alexander, which will be incredible. And then Athena's on that card. They just let's see. Don Callis is on commentary with Mauro Ranallo. That should be
interesting.
That should be interesting because they are the complete opposites of each other. So I can only imagine what that's going to sound like. And then who else? There's they just announced, who was it that they, Stu Grayson just got announced. He's going to be on that show. They've announced just a crazy amount of people. So I definitely see Giselle being a part of it, whether she signs with AEW or not, or maybe she wants to be in Maple Leaf full time. Who knows? But I definitely could see her. I know she was definitely a Scott D'Amore person. So I could definitely see her doing that. So yeah, I'm so excited for those shows. And they are selling them on, it's gonna air on Fight, but it's not part of the Fight package. You have to buy it as a pay-per-view, but they're selling it as a package deal. I can't remember the cost because I was talking to a friend about it because I think we're gonna go in on it together so that we can watch it. Because those shows look incredible. And Scott Moore was doing some really cool stuff with TNA before he left. So hopefully Maple Leaf, and good Lord, just to see Takeshita and Speedball is worth whatever that package is. That looks great. But we will go back to AEW since that is why we are here today.
We are here today.
All right. Do you want to just pop up well, I was like, there. Oh, look, there we go. It'll match what we've got on the card. So,
well, I kind of put this together from what I could basically find, and I put it in the order that was the most recent off of like a combination of. But so we obviously, like we do every time, it's a prediction that this is going this something.
Yeah, we
like
have no. The only thing we know for sure is the main event,
because we steal from other people. Well, we steal, but I mean, I look at other people's predicted matches. I usually go with the Bleacher Report one because they're the main supplier of the pay-per-view. Just came half from that and half from the Observer one, and they came out just about the same. So I was like, all right. So
yes,
predicting these things. So
yes, so we're just gonna go with the order of the pictures here, and sorry, I got.
Did I mess
it
up?
Some,
Did I put?
No, I thought it is from Fightful. I was just making sure. I was like, oh, what if this is about Giselle? Apparently, not surprised, but Cedric Alexander has re-signed with WWE, which makes me a little sad because I wanted him to go to Japan. I know, so I was like, oh no, but good for him. I'm glad that I'm glad. Hopefully they're going to use him more. They have been using him more recently in NXT. I didn't watch NXT this week, but they did have him come out and help Javon Evans, which I would love if they do something with the two of them. That would probably make me watch at least their match because I obviously am a huge Javon Evans fan. I love Cedric. I've watched him for years, but yes, he has re-signed looks like it is a multi-year deal. And this just is talking about what he's been doing as of late. But it's interesting that they made sure to re-sign him when the rest of the Hurt Business are on their way out, if they're not gone already. But they made sure that Cedric was not going to join them, even though, as we talked about last week, Cedric would have not gone to AEW because of how they treated his wife. So,
well, now there's apparently there's a civil lawsuit, isn't there, pending now against? I thought I saw a story this week about civil lawsuit against AEW for workplace stuff like Ian Riccoboni.
Oh, that's the Kevin Kelly bullshit.
Oh, okay. So that's separate.
It's Kevin Kelly and the Tate twins, and they're being represented. Apparently, from what I understand, they're being one of Jim Cornette's lawyers is involved in it.
Oh, okay. So after all that, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, that's what
I meant to ask you about that. I was like, wait.
Yeah, it's that. It's yeah.
Oh, so it's just more like weirdness.
They're suing AEW, Tony Khan, and Ian Riccoboni.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry I brought that up.
No, it's okay.
One thing that Cedric Alexander is re-signed with WWE, and congratulations to him. We hope he gets well paid and well pushed because he deserves it.
Yes,
awesome.
Heavy on the well pushed part.
I love Cedric. We got to see him at the because he was doing 205 Live when we got to bring my mother-in-law to her first SmackDown, and so I mean. And I even like, again, and we've talked about this in the past, but for, new people, I've watched him like do the George South do parking lot Cedric Alexander stuff.
Right.
So super carny, and he still pulled it off, and he was much younger then. And it was like, so I always really like, I love that guy. He's a great wrestler. He's a ton of fun.
And I've told the story before for people who are newer. I watched Cedric back when I was paying $5 to go see him wrestle in a rec center, like in the early part of his career, and got to see him rise through the ranks of my local indie and I saw him rise through the rank as champion. They did a dream series for him. They brought in Kevin Steen for him. They brought in AJ Styles for him. Like, they basically primed him to get him ready. And then he went to CWC, and we all know what happened there. The fans loved him and they made basically Paul Levesque signed him on the spot pretty much. And so the rest is history. And we've seen him push really well, and he had a WrestleMania moment. And then we've seen him disappear for a very long time. We saw him do some weird Gary character where he wrestled Roman Reigns.
Am I wrong?
Paul Heyman loved him. He was
okay. I wasn't wrong then. I mean,
yeah, when Paul Heyman,
I kept hearing that Paul Heyman is like a huge Cedric fan and wants him pushed and always tries to get him pushed.
When Paul was in charge of SmackDown, no, he was in Raw. It was on Raw at that point, I think. But he was in charge, and Cedric started suddenly appearing and having matches. It was because Paul Heyman loved him and wanted him on TV. So I'm glad. I'm hoping that means that, and now with him back in NXT, it seems like they're using him more regularly, which is great. So I'm very happy for him, and I hope that means that they do something. They do a lot more with him, because Cedric is somebody who should be. To me, he should be a bigger star than he is because of what he can do. And that's why I was like, if he didn't resign, I wanted him to go to Japan, because I think he would kill it with the Super Juniors. He would kill it over there.
That would be great.
That's what I was hoping for. But he re-signed with WWE, which I'm happy for, because
good for him and good for his family. That'll be great for them.
Exactly, and good for them. He's got a steady paycheck and hopefully use more. So good for Cedric, and we'll see. I
mean, at least it'll give you something to watch if they use him. It'll give you something.
Yeah, I was like, that'll give me incentive to at least float, because I'll do that sometimes. I'll have people tell me when Javon is wrestling, and we'll turn it over so I can watch him. And so that
you've got your thing curated to a point where all your followers
yeah, if they're watching NXT, I'll be like, hey, will you at me when Javon is on? Or sometimes we'll just like flip it over back and forth and be like, is Javon on yet? Okay, he'll be, and then we'll like flip it back and we're like, is Javon on yet?
We have gracious and wonderful followers who keep us looped into the things
that
mean the most to us.
Then I have people in Slack who, if they watch, because some of them watch regularly or they cover it, and they'll be like, hey, Javon's getting ready to wrestle, and I'm like, thanks. So
our Discord would be an okay place, because you could just sit on the thread and you wouldn't have to watch the show, but you could see, and then when people were talking about it, then you flip over. So.
Right, exactly.
Because we have all of the different channels, like the WWE channel, when the shows are on, they usually, I'm not on those. Usually I'm on the AEW ones or whatever, because obviously.
Right. Sure.
But we do threads for the shows in the Discord a lot, and like every Wednesday on Dynamite, we're in there like BSing about it and stuff.
Yeah.
So you would know. People tell you, they're like, they tag you, they're like, hey, it's done, get over here. Thank you.
I'll be right there. But yes, so we'll now circle back to this, and if there's any more breaking news that comes across, we'll let you know.
This is what happens when we do it either Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
It either happens while we're on air. It usually happens the day before, but because we're on a special day, we're getting it like as it comes. So.
Yes. So we do have this AEW Continental Championship 4-way match last night on Collision. There were 3 qualifying matches. We saw Mark Briscoe wrestle Lance Archer. That was actually a really good match. I really enjoyed that. That was a little bit of New Japan. Lance Archer showing up. He bloodied Mark Briscoe early on. He threw him into the barricade. And I think Mark got caught on the barricade or got hit because he was bleeding near the eye like almost immediately. And so I think he just landed wrong or hit something when he landed. And then we also had Orange Cassidy, and he wrestled why did I just blank on who he wrestled? I literally just watched it. It was it was a really good match too. Why am I blanking on who it was?
It was
Brian Keith.
Thank you.
Yes, Brian Keith.
That's right, because they made that match on the other day. And yes.
And Brian Keith, I'm glad that we got to see him in a full match. It's been a while since we've got to see him in his own match away from the learning tree. So it was nice to get that reminder of why he was signed in the first place.
Hey, he's a wrestler, guys. Did you know?
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Did you know these guys are wrestlers?
he killed it. He's got a new theme song that it is called The Bad Apple. I listened
that
to
was new. I didn't realize
it was a new song because he originally on the indies he used a song called Still Tippin', which was like a big deal, and when he first came into AEW they let him use it a couple times. So then the new song has the kind of vibe, so the songs sound kind of similar, because at first I was like, did they just add talking to it or need to get a new song? And then I saw later Mikey Ruckus or AEW Music tweeted the new song, and Righteous Reg worked on it. Okay. And he's got a piece on it, which was cool.
Because the little video and stuff that went with it was like awesome. It was a lot of fun.
They did. As much as the Bad Apple is not the greatest nickname, Brian Keith is making everything he's given work.
The best. He's the only thing that I care about in that stupid crap.
Same. Me too.
I don't care about. I keep my eyes on him the whole time. Him and Renee are the only people I pay attention to.
Big Bill can be funny at times, like because he told like the other night. Orange Cassidy told Renee, he was like, "Well, he's standing in front of Jericho." He said, "Tell Jericho," and Big Bill pointed like he's right here. But so Big Bill knows he's like getting where he can pick his moments, which is really good. And I know that's kind of the point of putting him with Jericho, but
I mean, Big Bill was like he like almost got there. Doing this Redwood gimmick, but then when they went to London and he was so over there, I think that like infused a whole bunch of confidence, because like if it were me, it would. And so I think it's really fun because he's like, whatever I'm doing is getting over with a giant audience of people. And so now he has this, it's like him and Brian Keith and which gratefully are over, so hopefully will continue to overshadow this stupid learning tree. And maybe they'll outgrow it.
Isn't that the point that they're trying to say that the learning tree got them over? But I would argue that Brian Keith was already over prior to being.
I agree.
Pushed. Maybe part of it is because we were familiar with him coming in. Like I was, I was familiar with him coming into AEW. I had seen him on the indies a little bit, and so I knew of him and had watched I'd seen him live a couple of times. And so so to me, he was already over because I had seen him. So maybe to me, it doesn't feel like the learning tree is getting him over. It feels like he got himself over, but I guess, but some would probably argue.
We do watch way more indie wrestling. I actually need to sometimes you're right. We need to check ourselves. It's like, of course we saw them first. We were watching GCW and Revolver and
right.
I mean, look at all the stuff that you watch just on WrestleMania weekend.
Right. Well, it was like the Outrunners opponents last night were Davey Bang and August Matthews, and they're formerly the Bang Bros. They got
I've heard of them.
They got a cease and desist from an adult website that uses the same name. So because they were wrestling in GCW.
That's a Google mess up.
Yeah. So they got a cease and desist. So they're not allowed to use that name anymore. And so so I think sometimes they're referred to as formerly the Bang Bros, and I think there's another name that they call them sometimes. But we saw them and I was like, the Bang Bros, and I was like, of course, I mean, I know legally that's not what they're called anymore, but I knew exactly who they were.
Yeah.
When they showed up last night. It was funny but yeah. So that was
that was our tangent on being too deep into indie wrestling to forget that.
Yes. So so to me, he was already over, but I know some people will use the argument that it's because they put him with Chris Jericho that he's over, but I would personally disagree, but some people will say, but then that will be like, well, that proves the point that Chris Jericho needs to be with younger people because once they're in the Jericho vortex, but then you can see how the Jericho vortex hurt somebody like Sammy Guevara for a very long time, and Daniel Garcia for that matter.
Guys, when you say vortex, that sucks you in unwillingly. A vortex,
right?
Does.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean? That's what that actually is,
right? Knock on wood, unless something changes. Chris Jericho is not on this card, And I saw some tweets very excited about that fact that this is the first pay-per-view in a very long time did not have Chris Jericho with a match. And that they were going to celebrate by drinking some bubbly. Because we had a thing. But knowing him, he will find his way on. So he may not have a match. But considering the stuff with Orange Cassidy, would not surprise me if he finds his way out there, because after Orange Cassidy beat Brian Keith, they immediately cut backstage where Jericho was outside of Orange Cassidy's locker room and has stolen his backpack that he uses to carry his titles in when he has them. And he made a reference to having a pair of scissors. So in one company, we were fighting over a bracelet. And apparently in this company, the sports entertainer has decided to make a backpack what we're feuding over now.
Okay.
Which is, I don't want that in my AEW wrestling, but here we are. So, because it's interesting that Jericho keeps bringing up that Orange Cassidy owes him $7,000 for ruining that white suit from way back
from forever ago. And I remember as soon as he brought it up, but
I did too, but I had forgotten until somebody tweeted it. They already had a match during the pandemic era, and Jericho somebody reminded that's when he went to Sturgis at like peak COVID.
Yeah. Right.
And came back and wrestled, and the match was super short, and Orange Cassidy won.
Was the Mimosa match where he ruined the suit, and then
the Mimosa match is where it was ruined,
and then they had another match to
settle the score.
Bury the hatch.
Jericho
settle the score,
right? And then if Jericho beat him, he owed him the $7,000. Orange Cassidy quickly won that match. That's it. He does not owe him $7,000. Why we are bringing that up now in 2024, I don't know. And now we have a backpack involved, but it's I would like Orange Cassidy to be away from that as soon as possible.
There's only 9 matches on this card.
Would hook away from that. So I would not be surprised if Jericho somehow finds his way down to the ring during this match or after the match and does something, and maybe it sets up for the anniversary shows next month, right? Yeah, I think the anniversary shows October or something. So I guess they're going to stretch it out to the anniversary show, and they're going to do something there, I guess.
They could bring him on, but then there's also they could finally make the announcement tonight, potentially. So,
well, Tony pretty much all but said it last night at the taping. After Rampage ended, he basically confirmed it, which BJ Bethel confirmed. He said earlier in the day yesterday that the deal was done. They're in the red zone, because Tony kept saying in the conference call, we're at the 1 yard line, we're heading to the red zone, and BJ's like, no, we're in the red zone, like deal's done. It's coming.
It was like final details. It was
and Andrew, and he even said on the media call, Tony said that some of the reports that were out there were correct. And he was like, there's just a lot of details, and it's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of people involved. He's like, you have one person signing a new contract. Wait till it's an entire company. Like, there's a lot of moving parts. And so he made it sound like it wasn't quite done. But then last night, so BJ Bethel reported yesterday the deal was done. Will be announced anytime now. His guess was he's like, just pure speculation, was at the anniversary show. But then Andrew Zarian tweeted a picture of a plate with a dead crow on it for you to eat crow. Because Andrew Zarian has also been reporting that the deal has pretty much been done and has been reporting things as well. We've said it several times that a lot of people owe BJ an apology. They're not going to do it, but they've been they've been really rude to him and just saying some very not nice things to him. They were doing it again yesterday. So Tony Khan said last night, because I saw some people, but Kimmy, who was a friend of mine in the media, and she was there at the show, and he tweeted last night that it was he practically said it was done without saying it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make an announcement tonight. I thought when BJ said the anniversary show, I was like, oh, that makes the most sense. It's 5-year anniversary. Perfect timing. But then last night he pretty much said it. So I don't know if he can wait.
There's so few. I mean, again, some of these matches need longer time because of what they are. Like the street fight and the unsanctioned match need more time. But maybe there's also time for I guess maybe a Jericho story angle, but maybe also there's an announcement.
Right, maybe they do that instead. Which, and there's the Mariah May
celebration. He has like 11. I've made enough slideshows. He usually has like 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
So it's usually 11, like 11.
And All Out is one of their bigger pay-per-views because it was one of the first pay-per-views, and it's considered one of their big four. Yep. So not that this card is lacking by any means, but for a show,
no, I'm actually impressed by how fast they pulled this card together to make it make sense from the last one.
There's a lot of story involvement in a lot of these. And he's even said, like, on the call, he's like, the stories kind of came about in different ways, but all the matches make sense, is what he was getting at.
They do. I was impressed by the transition from the last one. I mean, maybe this like shows improvement. This is hopeful. Is like over last year is like they learned what to do, and not that last year's was bad or anything. It's just that I felt like, wow, they did a really good job of filling that 2 weeks and making it make sense. And somebody asked, I mean, thankfully I bought that double thing on Triller when they were selling both, but
right.
I'm glad because it's going to be a really good pay-per-view.
Somebody asked, because, we even speculated last week that with Grand Slam being in Australia in February, perhaps that's the February pay-per-view and they go back to just one. And somebody asked, that was like the second question
on the call.
Will Grand Slam be its own pay-per-view now? And he said that what's happening in Australia is its own special event, and they have a really good relationship with Arthur Ashe Stadium. So he would not say one way or another whether that's going to be the only Grand Slam or if they're going to do a Grand Slam in Australia and then keep Grand Slam where it normally is at Arthur Ashe. And so that he didn't really, so it sounds like next September could still be All Out plus Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe. Like Grand Slam won't be its own separate pay-per-view at this point, is what it sounds like. But
I love your tweets. I love that you tweet the scrums, because if I miss them or even if I just don't care, I much rather read your like rundown that you do than watch them. So that's what I usually do, but that's how I got caught up. It's hilarious. I'm just like, oop, Sam did the call. Yay. Sam's back on the case, people.
I got to be the last question, which was funny because
that you kind of got no sold on, but whatever.
Well, it's funny also because Lyric asked the question before I did, and they will say this person is next, followed by this person, so that the next person can be prepared with their question, so that when Tony's done, they can there's a little pop-up for us to unmute our mic, and then we ask our question. And so they always announce ahead of time. So he said, he was like, okay, we're Lyric is next, and then followed by Samantha Shipman. Well, and Lyric's question was kind of a long, like, she got a really long response from it. I don't necessarily think it was on purpose, but because when Tony gets talking on certain topics, sometimes he will just talk and talk and talk. Well, that took us right to 3:00, which is when the call was supposed to end. And so the moderator was like, we're at the end of our call, but can you will you take a question from Samantha Shipman, because she was already announced? And he said, yes, sure. Like, he did not. So I think he probably thought she's going to ask me something. It's going to piss me off. It's going to be the last call. It's going to be the last question of the day. It's funny how he said it. And I was just like, Yes, he does. But I thankfully, well, for him, I did not ask. My original question was going to be about Athena because Athena she's about to break this record. It's not being made of a big deal about it. But then it was funny because I had posed the question in Daily DDT's Slack about it, and another writer was like, this will be his answer. And it was like word for word what he probably would say. And so I was like, do I ask the question that's going to get the non-answer that Athena's great, Samoa Joe's great, AEW's great, ROH is great. Watch what Athena does. It's really great that she's about to break this record, and then that's it. Or do I ask the question about Mark Davis, because Kyle Fletcher keeps putting on these incredible matches, and I don't know what they're going to do. Like, the tag team division needs Aussie Open, but Kyle Fletcher is in the middle of this ascent that you can't really stop. So, like, what do you do? And so I was like, well, do we even know when Mark Davis is coming back? And so he didn't give me a firm answer. And I don't know if that's because he's trying to save as a surprise when Davis does return, or if he just does not know what the time frame is for Mark Davis's return. He said, yeah, he did have surgery. He's been in recovery.
He's in recovery. He's great. Yeah. He's actually, and he kind of said the same thing that he would have said about Athena too.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he was like, you're right. Because I told him, I was like, when, like, presenting the question, like, when you first signed Kyle Fletcher, he was with Aussie Open, who at the time they were a top 5 tag team in the world. And now Kyle has taken this step, and we've seen the last few weeks that he is a star. Like, so what are your, like, when Davis is cleared, will we see Aussie Open wrestling more, or do you can just foresee that Kyle Fletcher is going to he's going to continue on the path he's on? And he basically was like, we'll just have to see what happens when Davis comes back. It sounds like almost not that he was trying to evade the answer, but maybe he doesn't exactly know what to do, because how do you stop Kyle Fletcher's, where he's at, this trajectories on, how do you stop that and slam the brakes on it to put him in the tag team division? And I'm sure Mark Davis is happy for him, and Mark probably wants, Kyle to do well. But on the other hand, where does that leave Mark Davis? Does he become a singles wrestler? We saw him wrestle in BOSJ. He can do the singles stuff, but the tag team division is severely lacking. So do you partner Mark Davis with someone else? And then you and I have talked about the possibility of a North American United Empire with Will and Aussie Open. Nikki was like, maybe you make them a trios team, which would be an incredible trios team.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
So, I mean, there are definitely things that they could do, but I just don't know where that leaves Mark Davis. But on the other hand, like, I feel like you can't stop Kyle, and you can't stop what's happening with him, because Kyle is a star. And that's not to say that Mark Davis is not, but I just don't know. I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thought on asking that question, because I knew with the Athena answer, I wasn't going to get one, but the Mark Davis one wasn't really, it was more of an answer, I guess, than Athena, but still not a huge answer. So we'll see how that plays out. And maybe because Mark Davis will be out, Wrestle Dream is next month, and that'll be 1 year since he was injured.
Wow,
so
gosh.
Does he come back that soon? And he did give an update on Powerhouse Hobbs. He said Powerhouse Hobbs has been backstage, but it's been to see the doctor. And he said he still has quite a ways to go on his recovery. So they do have plans for him. They miss him, enjoy him backstage. But if you hear rumors about him being backstage, it's because he's visiting the doctor. So it doesn't sound, and I think Hobbs' original expectation was that he wasn't going to be back quickly. So I feel like he'll be out for a while as well, even though he has been posting more frequently, like he's been in the gym and things like that. So he's definitely on his comeback trail, but
that's good.
It doesn't sound like it'll be like super soon. I don't remember what the time frame was for him.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I can't remember the injury, because a lot of people all got injured like in a domino there.
Right. Yeah, that was that time where there was a lot of injuries that
it was like one right after the other.
That's what it seemed. Deal. Yeah, it seemed like, or they'd get somebody back and then somebody would get hurt, and it was just like a mess. But I guess we should pick because we're still on this for match. Who do you think is going to win this Continental Classic match?
Okada has the belt, right?
Yep.
I think he's probably going to retain the belt in the end here.
I think so too. I think that they are getting ready to position the belt as being a bigger deal because Continental Classic will be starting soon-ish within the next couple of months. My guess is Mark Briscoe eats the pin. We start a little bit of a feud with Takeshita and Okada. Takeshita wins the Continental Classic and is the one to take the title off of him. That's where I see the long-term storytelling of this. Just going to put that out there now. We'll revisit that in December when I know who's in it, and we'll see if I change my mind. But as of right now, in September, this is where I think it's going.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Cool. All right, let's go on to the next one. We got to the next one. Yay.
Yes, happy All Out Day. And yeah, David, I did see Kairi's injury. It was very gruesome. She got her eye was she had a match on Monday night. It was a tag match that she was injured in. I don't think she's injured to the point where she can't wrestle, but her eye looked pretty bad. But I don't think it was anything too serious, and it's not going to keep her out of action or anything like that. But it was brutal. But unfortunately, that's not out of the ordinary with Kairi because Kairi fights hard. And so it's not a surprise that she gets banged up sometimes. But yeah, so the next match that we have here is the TBS Championship. It is Mercedes Moné versus Hikaru Shida. Camille is banned from ringside. So, and Mercedes she tweeted she was going to go talk to her EVPs. And then there was a clip later that was aired of her and Camille, and Mercedes was incensed. And she was like, what did I do to deserve this? That Camille is banned from ringside. And she's like, I don't have time to talk to you. I'm going to talk to my EVPs. So that has led to some question as will she bring somebody in to replace Camille for the night? Is this how or will Mercedes have to wrestle Shida all by herself? And so do you have any thoughts on if they'll bring anybody in, or do you think this will just be a straight match between Mercedes and Shida?
Well, I mean, if they go to the trouble to set that up, they probably have to pay it off. Right. And I do think that she retains, but maybe it's not so realistic because I mean, Shida is. This should be, I mean, hopefully, Mercedes wrestling Shida is like the best case scenario here, in my opinion. So,
of course, agreed.
I think that this match should be great and they'll go hard. But it does kind of open the door for shenanigans.
Right.
I mean, how would you do it?
Right. And so that would be, I jokingly said to Nikki last night, what if it's Becky Lynch? Because there was that rumor a couple of weeks ago.
That's hilarious.
Becky was coming in. I don't think
maybe Megan Bailey. Finally.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because she's not under contract anymore, but they apparently didn't close the door on her coming back. So perhaps I don't know if she has a GCW match tonight. I haven't been keeping up with. There's so many announcements from GCW, I can't keep track of what is when. So I don't know off the top of my head.
She could be banned from ringside, but able to sing and sit in the suite with the EVPs or something.
Right. So yeah, there's no telling. And then again, like I said, is this how if Giselle is coming in?
There you go.
This could be where they bring her in.
That could be it.
It's possible if they're bringing her in. I'm trying to think. Anna Jay is on her way. She just finished up in Stardom. They could perhaps put Anna Jay with Mercedes. I don't know that I really like that idea, but she is somebody that they could bring in. Possibly she's been off TV for a while because she's been in Japan. Mercedes has the history of wrestling in Japan. Maybe she has recruited Anna to come at least to help out tonight while Camille is indisposed.
Maybe Okada helps her.
Ooh,
because of the little crossover there with the
Sure.
EVPs and their little like thing that they've had.
Right.
It just dawned on me while you were talking.
I forgot about that. That's certainly possible.
I didn't even
also,
that just came to me. Whoa.
I don't know if they are gonna make her a heel, but apparently Ty Mello has been cleared since her pregnancy, because she had a baby and she's been training.
Ooh,
she was cleared a few weeks ago. So perhaps, yep. And David said it too, that maybe Ty Mello is coming back to help Mercedes retain. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. So we could see something like that. There's also,
I would pop for that.
There's Queen Aminata that they could do some. God, I love Queen Aminata and Mercedes doing something. Awesome. But there's Queen Aminata. They used Lady Frost this week. They could bring like Lady Frost, somebody who hits really hard. Yeah, there's Trish Adora. So there's definitely some possibilities. I feel like Mercedes has something up her sleeve because she's so upset. But you're right, because she did say she was going to go complain to her. She was going to go talk to her EVPs, and Okada has been on her side, and Okada's kind of been with her. So maybe Okada does something, or maybe Okada has brought someone in to help her out. Yeah, so I didn't even think about that connection, but
I didn't think about it until we were both sitting here, and I was like, wait, Mercedes and Okada has been a thing since Japan.
Right. So perhaps, that'll be now. Not that I'm already looking forward to this match because it's going to be incredible. And it was funny.
This should be a really good match. Like there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason why, and it's just going to help Mercedes get back to where she belongs.
Yeah, and Lyric was in the crowd last night because she was at, and she said the fans were chanting chanting ace at her because she said she's the ace of the division. She said the crowd was chanting that at her last night, and she said the crowd was like, so yeah, I'm really excited for this match because I
like having it when like people like Lyric or people in the Discord channel who are actually at the venues, we like ask them a lot. I think AEW still has sound issues because sometimes I don't think the crowd noise is coming through properly because you get totally different reacts from some of the people in the building than you get on the main stream.
Yeah. Well, and I mentioned that a few weeks ago because I had a friend that went to the South Carolina show, and then the following week it was in North Carolina, and another friend went, and I was like, well, were they loud for, Mercedes is who I was the most curious about. And they were like, yeah, they were really loud for her. And then the other one was like, they were loud at first, but then they kind of like died off, but that's not uncommon for that particular crowd. And so it is kind of interesting to see how that is. But yeah, it does sound like they're still having some sound issues. So maybe when they get this big fancy deal, we can pay
they'll have real sound engineers.
Yeah, maybe they'll hire some with that new WBD money.
WBD money.
So I think we're both in agreement that Mercedes retains here.
I definitely think so. But there will be something.
Yes.
Why would you do it?
Yeah. Monet versus Thunder Rosa would be a lot of fun.
I'm here for it.
Yes, and I did see that Killer Kelly is pregnant. She and Myron Reed announced earlier this week that she's pregnant. She posted it was like a wrestling. It was done from one of the wrestling photographers, and that was how she announced that she's pregnant. And then So and I saw her and that Myron Reed was very excited that they were going to have a baby. So. Good for them. I am very. Oh, and then speaking of, Tenille Dashwood announced yesterday that she is pregnant as well. So
it's that time, I guess.
Sounds like it.
What month is that? So that'll be all like September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May babies. So a bunch of May babies.
Got some
bunch of spring children. Woo! Perfect timing. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. All the wrestlers are having their babies at the same time.
But right around Mother's Day.
Oh, good call. Yep. My sister's birthday it falls on Mother's Day periodically because it's in May and it's around the same time.
I have a cousin whose birthday sometimes falls on Father's Day.
With my sister at school, because at least she's a mom. But I don't do the thing where I do like one card. I like get her a Mother's Day card and a birthday card. I'm not like that cheap jerk, but it's fun. That's hilarious. I think it's cute because a lot of them have been taking their kids with them. And so I guess the kids kind of grow up together a little bit at least.
Right. Yeah, that's very cool.
Tony needs to have a daycare on site. That's what he needs.
Maybe he does. I know that Renee brings her daughter to work all the time.
I know that's the kind of thing I mean, is a bunch of women that are in Renee's group, like that were a bunch of them had babies right around the same time, because there's a few kids that are all the same around the same age.
It just made me think. Ty was talking about she was backstage at ROH when Sammy returned, and she couldn't get Luna to quiet down, and Dean Malenko came over. Aww. And he looked up I think if I remember right, he looked up some playlist or something and put it on for the baby, and I think it worked. And so it was a picture of her and the baby and Dean Malenko, which is so cute. So maybe Dean Malenko.
I mean, I imagine he's a dad, so that's kind of fun.
So maybe Dean Malenko, maybe he's been recruited to help be a babysitter backstage.
I mean, whoever, if they're good at it, you know. If
you can't have a much better babysitter than Dean Malenko. So
that's just an adorable picture, and my brain is like, that's
the picture was very cute. It popped up on my Twitter a few weeks ago, and I was like, that is the cutest thing.
I love it.
It's very wholesome.
All right, let's get to the next one so we don't keep these people here all day. We got get up to the show this time. That's what I got next.
Oh yeah, this match I'm also looking forward to. We have MJF versus Daniel Garcia in not necessarily a grudge match, but I have a feeling it's going to have some grudge match type of a feel to it, because there's, from what I have heard a couple of weeks ago, as of All In, Daniel Garcia had not re-signed the contract, but was leaning towards re-signing. It feels like the story was kind of already in place before contract negotiations kind of stalled or whatever, so he was fulfilling that. I'm hoping this is a story that will I really hope he resigns. I love Daniel Garcia. It sounds like we're getting Red Death Daniel Garcia, he was on the Indies. And that is the side that MJF is familiar with. So it sounds like they are bringing that in here. That promo segment on Wednesday was a little wild. There were some interesting things. I would say I disagree with Daniel Garcia. I think that MJF's hair transplant looks great. I think that it looks better. I would disagree with Daniel Garcia on that. I think his hair transplant looks really good. But it was interesting because they were Daniel was kind of doing the MJF low-hanging fruit type of promo, which I don't like from anybody. And so I was kind of annoyed with that. But I felt like overall, it was a pretty good promo from Daniel Garcia, and it was a good segment, and they got, so I guess it achieved what it was supposed to achieve, but I was like, let's work on these promos, you guys. Let's move away from the acne thing, because I was like, it was funny because Daniel Garcia was talking about MJF's acne, but Daniel Garcia had some going on.
And at the very moment about your mom and your
that kind of stuff, which we talked about. We don't need to go for the low-hanging fruit. So I don't know if Daniel Garcia was just stooping to MJF's level, or if it's because Daniel Garcia doesn't get to cut a lot of promos, so he's still kind of trying to find his voice type of thing. But regardless of that, I think the match is going to be really, really good here. And who do you have here?
Sadly, I have MJF, even though I want Daniel Garcia. But I was just in my head wondering if Daniel Garcia was the one who stole the Dynamite Diamond ring.
He did. I will take that back. It was Garcia did say he stole the Dynamite Diamond ring, he sold it at a pawn shop, and paid for a flight to London, is what he said in his promo. Not this last promo, but the promo before that. He did confirm that. However, in real life, the ring was stolen. Wow. JF was in London. It was legitimately stolen. So we had talked about it at the time. We thought maybe it was Wardlow and that was going to be the storyline. Then it ended up being Garcia's storyline wise, but the reason they made it storyline is because MJF did in fact have it stolen from him. That's what they were talking about. Apparently, Brian. The reason I saw it is because Lisa was talking about it, because Brian was talking about how London there's a lot of shoplifting and thievery happening.
Lovely.
And apparently that pissed off some of the UK fans. And Lisa was like, "Why are y'all mad? It's true. I told like that weekend that I told Brian and Dave and everybody, don't keep your phone in your back pocket. Keep an eye on your thing because." And then she posted a graphic of like where theft was like were the highest places in London where there was theft.
Oh my gosh, listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
Yes, exactly. So
she literally does that as part of her job.
So that's how I knew for sure that the ring was actually missing, is because I saw Lisa talking about it. So the ring was legitimately stolen, but storyline wise, Daniel Garcia stole it, pawned it off, used the money to buy a plane ticket to All In, where he attacked MJF. But I have Daniel Garcia winning this. I think
that you may have changed my mind, actually.
So. I think Daniel Garcia wins this because he needs it.
Yeah,
and if he has not re-signed and is like on the fence, a win over MJF might help push him across if he has not signed already. So that's where
actually, gosh, you're right, because like you should give him a big win to try and get him on board if you're still trying to get him to make a decision.
Exactly.
And that's a big win.
Yes, Hassan, we were actually talking about that earlier in the show, and then again with the Mercedes match that Giselle posted. I saw the one video that she posted, and we were wondering, A, is she trolling because that's what wrestlers do, or B, is she coming in on Camille because Camille is banned from ringside? Will she come in? Will Mercedes bring Giselle in, or will she come do something with the Mariah May title celebration? So we are doing we've talked about a couple different possibilities, but I think it's certainly possible that she shows up, which it is, but also wrestlers like to troll. So speaking of wrestlers liking to troll, I was watching Alex Shelley's Insta story, and he posted he's posted an image that he's posted before, and it's of the Motor City's gear makers posted, and it was a black and white picture from the gear maker, and he tagged Alex Shelley. He tagged an account that is not Chris Sabin. Chris Sabin's not on, at least publicly. He may have a personal one, but or a private one. But so they tagged him in it, and Alex posted it in his story like a month and a half ago maybe, but he posted it again last night, which was really interesting. So I was like, I can't tell if he's just trolling because there's a pay-per-view today, or perhaps Motor City changed their mind and they are not going to WWE, and perhaps they are going to AEW. I don't know. It could be. Nikki says she thinks he's trolling. Would not surprise me. I'm trying not to get my hopes up.
I would sadly, I had a conversation that kind of disheartened me in the last little while that leads me to believe that, unfortunately, I don't think that's what's happening. And
no, and anyway. I had, but I was like, or
that would make my heart sore. I can't even tell you how happy I would be, especially considering I hope so. But
I hope so. I'm not getting my hopes up. But what I would really like is that they're just going to Maple Leaf Pro, and then they're going to be in World Tag League, and then they're going to help New Japan reestablish their tag league. That's what I would really like to happen, even as much as I want to see them in AEW, but considering the tag team division in both companies. Even though AEW has made some improvements, obviously bringing in MXM Collection and GYV, we also have the tag team champions wrestling trios champions tonight. So that kind of shows you where our tag team division is again. Right. So
I would say that in terms of that, I have a bad feeling about
this. No, I pretty much have. I have pretty much accepted
resigned yourself to the WWE path.
Yeah, but but that's what I would really like. I would like them to be involved in Maple Leaf and then just be in World Tag League and go to Japan. Out of the 3 options, that's the option I would like the most. Of course, I am a fan of them. We'll watch them wherever they are at. I want them to be wherever they think is best for them, even if I think they're wrong. I still want the best for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we were talking about trolling, that reminded me that I saw that. And I was like, that's weird because he's posted this already, because he posted it directly from the gear maker last time. And this time was was where he had clearly screenshot it and had been saving it and just popped it in there last night. And I was like, yeah, I think I know what you're doing here. But I will still have the tiniest bit of hope.
I will always have the tiniest bit of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I'll take that. The Maple Leaf will be the Canadian partner of AEW. Listen, if that's how I get, I still don't think so. But if that's how I were to get Motor City, I would accept that too. Regardless, Maple Leaf looks like it's going to have a lot of really cool shit happening.
Yeah, it does look like
whatever is coming from them. Hey, Colin. We're here. Hey. Yeah, we came early today since All Out is today. We are going down and getting you all hyped for the show, and then
we
next
scooched week the show over a day so that we could really have a real pre-show and not a post pre-show, which would be really
there will however be a post show if you missed. For those of you who are tuning in later, tonight about a half hour after the main event, Kevin Ely and Jeremy Finestone will be going live to go over everything that happens tonight, and so if you want to jump in the chat with them, certainly make sure that you check that out because that'll be fun. They always have some really cool, I always enjoy their perspective of how they see things and stuff like that. They've always got good conversations, so definitely make sure to check
get your Kevin Ely fix that way. We see Jeremy and we love Jeremy, and then we get the good Kevin Ely, get a little boom fix there on top of it. That's wonderful. Me too.
We shall see. Well, midnight in Eastern or midnight Central? Because Tony might be like,
oh, shoot, they're in Chicago, jerk face.
I don't know. And I guess because it's a Saturday, they don't have to worry as much about public transportation. So
I do, too, because I'm going to Ren Fair tomorrow and I got to get up really early. So it's like, come on, Tony, you're killing me. I already had to move my day.
I suspect that it does finish way too late for you.
Yeah. Midnight Eastern. Yeah, I would like it to end before then as well. I greatly agree. That would make my life much easier.
Yeah. David has said that he saw something that Garcia hasn't re-signed and has told AEW he will after All Out. Danielson has apparently had the finish changed because he thinks Garcia is messing around and trying to go over MJF on the way out. That's an interesting theory. Yeah, I have as of all right after All In, he had not re-signed. I don't know if anything has changed in the interim or if he will, like the rumor is that he will re-sign after All Out or perhaps beat MJF and then peace out. That's certainly a possibility because
always working.
I was going to say wrestlers are wrestlers, so
gotta work. Always working.
So I would not be surprised by either outcome.
I mean, you gotta take care. I mean, you
gotta take care of yourself.
Carney. It's Carney.
Colin said he's a UK punter, so he'll be sleeping. And Robert is with us on the Eastern time zone.
Excellent.
In Miami.
Oh, all right, right on.
All right, next match. What do we got?
Next match. What do we got here? Let's see. Let's put the picture in and do this. And we've got
Speaking of the tag team division.
Hey, tag team division. It's almost like Mel's reading Sam's mind today.
It almost. So we have the Young Bucks using one of their limited appearances.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're right.
They used one of their limited appearances last night to wrestle in the All-Star 8-man match last night. And then they are using another one tonight to wrestle Claudio and Yuta.
Lovely.
Yeah, David says he's excited for this. I I'm excited for it. I also
be good.
feel like
I mean, it'll be fine.
It'll be a good match. I love all four. It just reflects the current tag team division that is in AEW that we have been talking about, and it feels like. And I don't want to say this is the best you've got because it's Claudio and Yuta, and literally they are two of the best you've got. But also, it feels like
we need a cool-off match on the card.
You're having
and this
trio
might be
champions. You're having trios champions do this. You have your other trios champion defending his title, or not defending his title, in another title match. You have the TNT champion going after the world title. So, and I get it. You're coming off of All In, and the storylines do kind of make sense, but also it just feels like a little lazy, especially when it comes to the tag team division, because this is an ongoing thing we see with the tag team division. It's the rotation of that we've been talking about. And yes, Lady B, so many belts.
So many belts.
So many belts. And then Robert predicts that the BCC win the tag team titles. Oh, that would be so interesting.
I would love that. I saw you say that, and I was like, that would actually be interesting.
It would be interesting, but would again prove our point about the tag team division.
Well, yeah, is that they're going outside of they should go with the tag team. If it's the tag team division and it's tag team belts and they want it to be serious, then they probably need the actual tag team to retain the belts.
Yeah, and
but
I think what we're eventually getting to is that I think GYV is eventually going to take the titles off of the Bucks. I think it either happens at Full Gear or World's End is my guess. And I feel like I'm leaning more towards World's End because I feel that's where Okada is going to lose the Continental title to the winner of the C2 this year. But last year they did the winner of I think the winner of the C2 finals happened at World's End. So I guess it depends on the timing of when it starts. But as of now, September the 7th, I will say that I feel like World's End, all the elite is gonna lose their titles. I feel like we're gonna go into January with none of them carrying titles. I don't know what that means for the TNT title picture. I know it will not happen. I will always hold out hope that it's Ricky Starks, but I don't think that's happening, even though he is under contract well into next year from what I have heard. I would like to see him with the title, but I feel like hopefully it's not Darby. They need somebody else in the TNT title picture. They're going to end up like the tag team division where it's just being hot potatoed between the same stuff. And so, but Nikki said last night can confirm that she hopes that she sees one of the Bucks do a cradle shock because that is Chris Sabin's finisher.
Interesting.
They did do last night. They did a slice spread number 2. Nikki's like, don't Motor City do that? And I was like, they do, but typically a lot of people do the slice spread. So unfortunately, I don't think it was necessarily a nod to Motor City there. But so that's why I was like, if they do a cradle shock, we get a shell shock, then I might be like, wait a minute. Or they do like they did a couple years ago where they did the little shout out during the match with FTR where they were doing all the their love letter to tag team wrestling. They did do the Motor City pointing at the hand shout out before they did a move. But yeah, but I was like, if I see a cradle shock or a shell shock, I will lose my mind, especially if I know that they're not actually coming. Like that will make me very sad. Yeah, Brian Kendrick, I think, that's what we were talking about. Brian Kendrick, I believe, invented slice bread number 2, if I am not mistaken. But Motor City, they do, and that is in their arsenal that they go to a lot, but they are not the Nikki said, I just want to be Delulu about Motor City coming. Yeah, me too.
I know.
I do, but I'm also trying not to break my own heart. I'm
trying to manage my expectations.
Yeah, exactly. David said that Claudio and Mock should have a best of 7 series for the tag titles after Sting vacated them, or should have. That would have been interesting. That would actually been fun. I also would like Yuta to be pushed. I love him. Yeah, this says know who should really dethrone Matt and Nick? Kenny and Hangman.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It would be, but I don't know. Kenny
We don't
seems
know
like
what
he's a
Kenny's
long
current
way from coming back.
situation
But then
is.
again, if the Young Bucks do have limited appearances, they could just hold that title hostage until Kenny comes back.
True
Or
story.
whatever that is. We have this comment says that the Elite needs to lose to the Acclaim or the Gun Clubs. I would like the Acclaim to not be a tag team. I would like them to break up and Anthony Bowens to be a singles wrestler is what I would like. Yes. Oh man. And yeah, next the rumor apparently was before Adam Copeland got injured that Adam Copeland and Christian were supposed to wrestle the Young Bucks. That All In was the rumor.
And Colin, we haven't gotten to that match yet, so no worries.
No, we will get to that. But yeah,
we're almost there.
I will say the Young Bucks retain. And
I agree.
They're going to retain until probably.
I think Blackpool is falling apart. Like I think it's either reorganizing or turning into something else.
Yeah. So Mox does not have a match tonight. They did not make Mox versus Darby official, which is interesting. So I don't know if they're going to save that for Grand Slam.
Yeah.
No, not Grand Slam. Darby has the match with Danielson. So I'm wondering if they're going to save it for the anniversary show.
That would make more sense because you need a big draw on that one. You don't need Max.
Yeah.
Mox
and that's
on
the
card.
pillar, and Darby's the pillar. Mox is one of the stars. Tony was heavily putting over Mox and what he has meant to AEW because somebody asked him, and like when he said the thing to Tony Schiavone about this is not your company anymore, and that he was using Tony Schiavone to say that to Tony Khan, and he was like, basically was like, I don't know what he was getting at. We're gonna have to watch and see. Regardless, Jon Moxley has meant a lot to AEW, and he's one of the biggest signings we've ever had. Highly put him over. We did see Mox and Marina show up last night. Poor Outrunners got wrecked by a Marina. I think Erica Lee, got thrown into the wall and the wall cracked because she got thrown into it so hard. Jon Moxley just kind of let her do the destruction while he just kind of was there being Jon Moxley. So I thought the reason they were there last night, I thought that he was going to go out to the ring because he told, I think he told Darby, you know where to find me or whatever it was. So I thought Darby was going to come out there and they were going to make the match for today. And then they didn't. So now I'm wondering if they're going to do that at the anniversary show, which the more I talk about it, that makes sense with the pillar, or you have the dynamic of the pillar and one of the big stars of AEW over the last 5 years. So I could see that, that they do that there. Let's see. There's all kinds of chatter over here. We have talked about this several times. I don't want Shane McMahon anywhere near this company for multiple reasons, but mainly because his dad is probably going to be indicted any day now.
Any minute.
Likely going to be subpoenaed to talk about it. And I don't think AEW needs that kind of baggage when they've got their own shit going on.
Sure don't.
I would not like to see, and this is coming from someone who loves Shane McMahon. I have been a fan of Shane since back when he was with Mean Street Posse. Like I am a long time Shane McMahon fan. I'm on the Shane train, but I do not want it to stop in AEW, at least not anytime soon. I don't want him anywhere near it, especially, and we've talked about it before, you are the alternative. You do not need a McMahon if you were trying to be the opposite of your competition. I don't think that you need that. And again, I love Shane McMahon, but if they do bring him in, I don't want him as a TV character. I don't want him taking TV pics. And well, it was a picture, and it came out before it came out before a WWE pay-per-view, and the media in that room should have, if they knew how to ask questions, should have asked why Shane McMahon doesn't want to work for WWE. Why is that? Why doesn't McMahon not want to work there? Is it because there's a lawsuit involving his father? Is that why he doesn't want to work there?
Yeah, seriously, if he's like gainfully employed in another company entirely,
why?
when that comes down, that keeps him out of the fray.
That should have been the question. And that picture, that picture I think was more for talk. It came out on a Wednesday before Dynamite, so it's to get some buzz. And I think that should people have been paying attention at the press conference like they should have, then somebody should have been like, why do we see Stephanie hanging around pay-per-views, but we don't see Shane McMahon? Why would Shane McMahon be in a meeting with your rival? Why is that? That's what should have been asked. And no, he should not put Dixie Carter in charge either. I don't know if you were trolling at this point, but no.
I think you're being a little silly.
All right, on to the next one.
All right, to the next. Let me get here. We went there. We agreed the Bucks were winning. Here we go. Here you go, Colin. This is your Colin asked if we had gotten to this one, and he was ready to go. So I hope you're still hanging out. We got to it.
Yes. So this is for the AEW, now back to international champion. It is no longer the American championship because MJF does not hold it. It is now, and it's a brand new title. MJF has his American title, but we have Will Ospreay versus Pac. And this match has happened one other time. And Tony was talking about it when he was putting it over on the call the other day. Tony was there in person for that match. And I think he didn't say where, but that's what I thought. That's what I assumed was OTT, maybe.
I think it was OTT because Pac was the OTT champion for a period of time, remember?
Right, because that's where Hangman was, and Hangman went and wrestled him. It was in OTT, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that now that had to have happened in OTT because he may have even won the OTT. Now, I don't know if Will held the OTT. Yes, he did. He did hold the OTT title, and then they were doing a bunch of like weird crossover stuff because it was when Triple H was doing stuff with the British NXT people and all of that.
Oh, NXT UK. Okay.
And he may have held it, but Pac did win the OTT championship because I remember that everyone hated it except for John and Nick. They were the only two people in the whole place. He's like, have you ever? It was like when Don Callis turned on Kenny, and I was like, yay! And like I was like smiling, and everyone else is freaking out. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. But so I bet you it's. If I had to guess, and based on my like limited memory, I think that's probably where it took place, and it was a banger. I'm sure this is going to be a banger. Anyway.
Yeah, this is going to be a banger.
This is going to be like this would be my sleeper match in terms of just pure wrestling. Probably.
And it's so funny that you say that because somebody asked Tony what he thought the sleeper match was on this card, and he was like, I don't really think there's a sleeper match because they're all really good. They're all going to be really good. And he was like, and you know, he's like, and I know it. He's like, I know it sounds like I'm giving like a political answer, but he was like, I just really think the card's going to be good. And he was like, of course, like, you know, everybody's going to want to see the main event. Like, that's a must see. So, like, that's a given. But then he was talking about some other stuff. And, like, he was putting over, he put over Mercedes and he was putting over Willow and Chris and things like, you know. So, but yeah, I feel like this match I don't know that it would necessarily be sleeper, but I think it might get overlooked with what else is on the card. Yeah. But, like, as a pure because let's face it, the cage match is not really going to be a wrestling match. It's going to be more of a spectacle, and there's going to be a fight, and they're basically just going to beat the shit out of each other, which is perfectly fine. It's what I love
that kind of thing too.
That's what I want from this match. I would just want them to beat the hell out of each other. That's what I'm here for. But if we're going based on a pure wrestling, I agree with you. This is the one.
I mean, this is like the pure. This like if you're a purist, this is the match. This is like. And Will has just been so great. And Pac is one of those people that it's like, guys, this guy can wrestle. He wrestles his ass off. Like, he's amazing. And he's really good at adapting to who he's with.
Yeah.
It's like, I always go back to that Orange Cassidy match where he wasn't even sure how to wrestle him. And then when he realized how to wrestle, but he picked it up and was like, okay, Let's do this.
Right. And once he realized that Orange Cassidy was not just a comedy wrestler, it could actually go. I think Pac was like, oh, okay. And then it just locked it in on another level.
I loved that match. That was one of my favorite matches because it was like you actually saw a wrestler that was smart enough to realize what was happening, realize it in real time, and continue the match and do it accordingly. And like that's the level of talent that Pac brings to it. So I just think that like there's no way this could be bad.
No, there's no way this could be bad. I do think Will retains.
Yeah, just because he just won it in a big way, and he kind of has to, and it makes sense that Pac's fighting him for it because it was essentially originally sort of his championship.
Yeah, he made it what it was. I mean, Orange and Mox both obviously took it to other levels, but Pac was the one who established it, and he took it to other places. He took it back to England and he defended it there, and he had some really great matches with it. And so I do like that it's come back around, that it's Pac and Ospreay, and apparently from what Tony says, this was the first time ever. I mean, this match has only happened one other time, and just look at where Pac and Ospreay are in that time difference, how much, even, which is insane to say, but how much better they've gotten.
Because that would have been like 2017, 18 time.
Yeah, and that was 2018. That was baby Will Ospreay when he was just getting to New Japan and figuring out stuff, and like Ospreay has.
But Okada, like, it's so funny because Okada said it, because he said if Will Ospreay kept wrestling at that rate that he was wrestling, that he would be. But Okada literally said Will Ospreay will be better than me at 30 if he keeps going the rate he's going.
Insane, and also,
I mean, like no compliment there.
Right,
greatest wrestler of all time, basically.
And then, and you have like Ospreay Ospreay has said, like, I grew up, and for those of you who saw New Japan in the beginning, I have grown up in front of your eyes, and you have seen me, just trying to figure things out, and to where I am now. And so I feel like, so to see 2024 Ospreay against 2024 Pac is gonna be really good. And not that Will Ospreay doesn't necessarily need to beat Pac, but he does need to beat Pac. Like, I think for Ospreay, I feel like he needs to beat Pac because Pac is one of the best, not just obviously here, but as far as British wrestlers go. Like, obviously there's Zack Sabre Jr. and and we've got that, but there's Nigel McGuinness. But obviously there's Pac and Ospreay, who have been, they're closer in age, but there's still two different generations of British wrestlers. And so I think Ospreay, I think maybe just personally for Ospreay, I feel like Ospreay feels like he needs to beat Pac. And we'll get Ospreay versus Ricochet. We got the tiny little tease, and then it still made me laugh. Pac just comes up and just does that Poison Rana on him and was like, don't forget about the bastard. And it was just perfect Pac. Like, it just
definitely
that on brand moment for him. And it was great. And I think Ricochet needs the match after Kyle Fletcher kind of outshone him. And I don't think that was Kyle Fletcher's intention. I don't think Kyle Fletcher was intending to outshine Ricochet, but also Ricochet, of course, he was on the indies prior to that, but he's also been in WWE for 6 years. Like, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to kind of get back into indie, Lucha Underground, New Japan Ricochet versus WWE Ricochet. I think it's going to take him a little time. I think he'll do it. I think he'll get there, but I think that I just kind of felt bad for him because I was like, oh, Kyle Fletcher is Kyle Fletchering.
Yes. He is like quite Kyle Fletchering right now.
He was Kyle Fletchering. I understand MJF. He gets on my nerves sometimes as a character. As a wrestler, I think he's great. I think he could go. Sometimes his character is too much. It's too relies very heavily on the low-hanging fruit, which I can't stand. I think that to be an effective heel, you need to not, I feel like that's a lazy way out, and I'm not calling MJF lazy by any means, but I feel like it's lazy heel heat, it's cheap heel heat, and I feel like if you are supposed to be as good of a heel as you say you are, then you can do it without going to the lowest hanging fruit.
I think he's a smarter person than that.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that makes it so frustrating, because he is smart, especially when it comes to the wrestling business.
He's not dumb.
And so I'm like, you don't have to rely on George South Heat from 1987 to get over.
Different century, yo.
We're almost in 2025. Like, let's find something else, and then don't drag Daniel Garcia with you. Again, I don't know if Garcia was because he doesn't get to cut promos as much, so that's what he went with, or if he was trying to get on MJF's level and speak to him the way MJF speaks to others, which maybe that's where he was going with it, but I don't. So if you're doing it, I don't need other heels to do it with you. Like, again, as I've mentioned, if you would like to see a really good heel who doesn't rely on that, go watch Darius Carter.
Yeah, he's great.
Because he is a very effective heel. Even go back and watch New Japan Jay White.
Yeah,
Jay White was an incredible heel. He was, and for a time, he was my favorite. He was my favorite heel, and he didn't rely on that stuff.
No,
so. And I get it. I know you want to go for sometimes it's easy to go for the cheap heat, but it's a very sports entertainment type of thing. And I don't need that here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been my argument with him for a lot. But in ring, especially because of in ring, he can do so much that he doesn't need that. Like, but I digress, as Taz would say. All right. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to this match. As much as I'm looking forward, I am very much looking forward to Mercedes and Sheeta, but I'm very much looking forward to Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander in a Chicago street fight. This match is not sanctioned by CMLL, so the CMLL title will not be on the line tonight. This is just a pure street fight to beat the crap out of each other for the storylines that they've been telling. You know, they hinted at it last night, and apparently they did a thing on YouTube where they did like the friendship of Willow and Chris and then how it got to where we are now. And even last night we saw in that sit down, Willow asked Chris, has Stoke been in your ear? Is Stokely Hathaway getting to you? And that's why you have made the decisions you've made. Of course, that made Chris mad because probably a little bit of truth to that. But yeah, this match I am really, really looking forward to. Willow excels at this type of stuff. And I think it'll be for the side of Chris Statlander we're seeing now. I think this match makes a lot of sense for both of them. So what are your thoughts on this one? Did we lose you?
Sorry, there were like 10 billion planes floating over the
thing. Okay.
I don't know who's gonna win this match. I'm struggling a little with this.
I could kind of see Chris winning because the title is not on the line.
Okay.
But
to sort of get some beef, like to continue the beef, like
right. But also, does CMLL want their champion taking losses even without the title on the line?
Yeah.
And also, Willow is so over. She is probably, if not the biggest babyface in the company, she's certainly top 3. I would think she's somebody that pretty much all people love. And so you want
to kind of needs to put this beast down. Is essentially like it's time for her to put Stat in her place for good and all.
Yeah. And then you also, maybe she has a little bit of extra reason to be aggressive because Ishii got taken out last night by Chris Jericho. Right. And they cut there was a promo backstage. It was her, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe. A lot of things happened in that promo because it was just it was fun, but it was just it's Mark Briscoe was leading the charge of this, and he talked about Willow, but he got Willow to talk about our match, and he was hyping Willow up, but Mark was upset that Big Tom that they put their dirty paws on Big Tom, and he was not thrilled about it. I assume that's how they're writing Ishii out so he can go back to Japan, because
I think
go back to Japan this month.
Is happening.
And so I guess that's how they wrote him out, and we'll see him. Maybe we don't see him again until Wrestle Dynasty. Maybe he comes back before then, but
Road to Destruction starting soon.
Yeah, I think so. And they got their own show. So
they got the Shingo Takagi anniversary.
That was
show
today.
also.
That was this morning.
Oh, that's today. Okay.
Yeah, it was this morning. I have not watched it. I want to, because
me too.
I love Shingo. I really want to watch that. I actually really want to watch the Shingo match. But that was this morning. I don't know that I don't think Ishii was part of it, but
okay.
I could see him being, he's got to go back.
I didn't realize it was this morning. Go figure.
Yeah. So I guess that's how they were writing him out, which made me sad, which is crazy because I watched New Japan, but I really enjoyed his AEW run. It's been a lot of fun. So maybe that gives her a little bit more incentive. Maybe she needs to get out her aggression because they attacked her, because her tag team partner was attacked. This one could go either way. I feel like it would benefit Chris because of the character that she has become, and the title is not on the line here. But on the other hand, CMLL might be like, Willow does not need to lose even with the title on the line. So I could see it going either way. But if I have to choose, I will go with Willow.
Yeah, I think you've talked me into Willow.
And somebody said in the replies that they both turn on Stoke, which is certainly possible.
Oh, that could be possible.
Maybe that happens. There's also that possibility.
That could.
All right. Right. Robert says that he hopes Briscoe wins the 4-way. I don't think Okada is dropping that title. I mean, they could do 2 belts Mark Briscoe because they're doing 2 belts Dustin Rhodes, but I feel like Mark is just going to keep his ROH title for now, and that Okada is keeping his Continental Championship. All right, we have made it to the main event, which if you've been with us since the beginning, we kind of already talked about it because we are really excited for this match, and also because we were talking about how Dynamite ended. But we have the steel cage match, which is an unsanctioned lights out match. So Tony Khan is taking no responsibility for whatever happens in this match. We talked about at the beginning, if somebody dies, he dies. It's not on Tony Khan. But we have Hangman Adam Page against Swerve Strickland. If you missed the beginning of the show, I was talking about how on the media call, one of the first things Tony said was that he had been working to keep Hangman Page out of jail so that he could make it to this match tonight.
His crack team of lawyers.
So they have done a good job here to make sure that we get Hangman Adam Page here for the story. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine what's going to happen. I just feel like I don't really have any expectations other than it's going to be amazing. And they're going to try to murder each other. They may be successful in that. But other than that, I don't really have any expectations for what's going to happen here because Hangman has crossed this line. He has become this person he did not intend to become. And once you kind of cross that line and burning down someone's home, you can't cross that line. So, especially days before this match, I think that Hangman does not, perhaps once this match is over, maybe he'll have some remorse. But I think as of right now, Hangman has no remorse for what he did and just wants to murder Swerve.
Yeah, I mean, but Swerve just had his house blowed up, so he's probably pretty raging mad.
Yeah. And Swerve's and again, we talked about this at the beginning of the show.
I mean, he kind of started it, but
he did. Hangman has never been in the wrong because he broke into his home And while his child
Although,
was there.
I mean, blowing up a guy's house is pretty.
Right. Arson is also not okay.
He didn't blow it up, but he burned it
and
down.
as we talked about before, not only did he burn down Swerve's home, before he got to that part, he told Swerve that his father didn't love him and probably wished he didn't exist. So Hangman has crossed a bunch of lines. And then Arson was just like,
I mean, I think
like
I would think after a guy burns your house down, you're probably gonna beat his ass. So
right. And then you also have like, and I get, Hangman, we found out last week that Swerve was watching him and knew that his wife was pregnant with the second child, which was unknown to the AEW universe. And so Hangman moved from the house that was broken into to a new home to escape Swerve. Yet Swerve somehow found this home and had been watching them and had watched Hangman go down the steps with his pregnant wife. And that's how we learned he had a second child. So that kind of just pushed Hangman. Like, I think Hangman was already towing the line, but then he's found out, like, he thought he finally escaped Swerve, only to find out that Swerve knew where he was, knew what he had been doing, and knew that he has a second child. And so I think that sent him over the edge and pushed him to burn down Swerve's house. But like you said, Swerve is gonna be pretty pissed off about that, and is gonna be really angry. And so they're both gonna just beat the hell out of each other. And I think. Who do you see winning this one? Also, I want to say before I will preface this with saying, because this is unsanctioned, which it goes back to, I think that also goes back for the cage fight too. But because this match is, that match is unsanctioned by CMLL, so that's why the title's not along. But this match is unsanctioned, so the win-loss does not matter here. It does not change as far as the win-loss record goes.
No.
It doesn't have any bearing. Right. It has no bearing on this.
Let's see. All right. I'm taking Hangman.
I am too. I did briefly consider Swerve just because it doesn't affect the win-loss record here. And Swerve is already wait, is Swerve already up on Hangman, or has Hangman
he might be, he is up on him.
Yeah, that's what clearly because he won the title.
I think he is up on him because the most recent one, because that's how we write the title. And then yes. So yes. So, and also kind of kick him in while he's down is where I think.
Yeah. I kind of feel like
he just lost the title. He just had his house burned down by this guy. Like,
right. So
maybe Hangman beats his face in all the way to the ground.
Yeah. So I think that Swerve has beat him 3 times. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I couldn't remember exactly. I was like, wait a minute. But I was like, yeah, I didn't think he had. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to take Hangman.
Yeah, because Hangman said that Swerve couldn't beat him on his own because he used Nana and then he used. So he said that in a couple promos ago. I think it was. Hassan asks if they made it unsanctioned because they don't want them in the title picture. I think they made it unsanctioned so they could I think it's the natural progression of the storyline. The story yesterday made 1 year since Swerve made the comment where he told Hangman that he was coming for his spot. And this has devolved into this. And now they've kind of flipped where Hangman is now the one pursuing Swerve, even though Swerve has lost the title. The title was just part of it. Like Hangman still wants the title back, but he's so far gone at this point that he wants to finish. Not that the story will be finished, but maybe finish for today, for now, for maybe for 2024. I don't, because like once this match happens, like I don't know where you go from here. So I could see this kind of being a pause in their story. We send Swerve one direction, send Paige another way. Paige is they've teased the feud with Okada. Perhaps that's where we put Okada for a little bit, because Okada's got that Continental title, I think, is going to get a bigger push because Continental Classic is coming up, and that title has not felt like a big deal at all. It's just been more or less a prop. And I feel like now we're like, hey, getting into the last quarter of the year, we should probably make this title mean something with C2 coming along. So if they could do the Hangman, they've hinted at the Hangman story. Hangman still has Jeff Jarrett too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Not thrilled about it, but that's an unfinished, an unresolved storyline. So they could have, and then they've got Swerve I don't know who you have Swerve feud with next. Maybe Swerve takes some time off. Maybe. They let him, because he was champion for a while. Obviously, this is going to be very brutal. Emotionally having to deal with your house being burnt down. Maybe Swerve.
No mental health time.
Maybe Swerve takes some time away for a couple months, and then we reinsert him into a feud. Hassan, I'm right there with you. I know, as I was saying it, I was like, oh God, there's still that. So, and I can see Jeff Jarrett's probably going to be pretty pissed at whatever Hangman does in this. So I could see them finishing out this. And I saw a tweet yesterday, because obviously there's been a lot of Magnum TA comparisons with Hangman, especially with the way he looks and what he's been doing. At Starrcade 85, Magnum TA had a cage match that he won, and after he won, he still wasn't happy. He still was just like, what have I done? Like, why I thought this win would make me happy and get me everything that I want, and it didn't. So I could kind of see that being, even without the Magnum TA parallels, I could kind of see Hangman winning and then just being like, now what? Like, that didn't give me the satisfaction that I wanted because he's not dead.
Yeah.
Or I have become this person I never intended to become. Now what do I do?
Right.
I have burned down a man's house. Like, I don't want my kids to.
I mean, it would make sense if he went after Okada, because then he's like, who sent me down this path in the first place? And it was the breakup of him and the Young Bucks and all that stuff. So he could potentially like
that. Yeah, that's a good point. I had forgotten about that. So yeah,
they just kicked him out one day. They were like, hi, welcome, you're fired.
When he was suspended, when he was suspended for attacking the referees at the Revolution match, they kicked him and Kenny out. So
I mean, he could, like, after all of this,
and he like unresolved,
bashes Swerve's like face and goes, who sent me down this path of, wait, what have I become? Who started this? And
right.
I mean, going
not
right back
me.
after them.
Clearly it was not myself.
Well, no, taking responsibility would be uncharacteristically of this.
Yeah, I would love Hangman and Danielson at some point, and I still feel like
that'd be great.
Full Gear is going to be important, because maybe it's just me thinking that I associate Full Gear with Hangman because it was named after Hangman. It was named from an old BTE bit. So I feel like something could happen there. Maybe they do Hangman versus Danielson there.
It'd be fun.
Perhaps. Maybe. I don't know that they make him wait that long for Okada. That's 2 months away. But perhaps it sets him down that path. Maybe he beats Okada. Well, it would have to be non-title, because I don't think Okada's dropping that title anytime soon.
Yeah.
But Hangman doesn't need the Continental title. So they can even just do a non-title match. But regardless, I do think Hangman wins here. Hangman has some things, down the pipeline. I think Swerve takes some time off, regroups, maybe goes to some therapy and gets some help for the awful things that Hangman said to him, and also burning down the house. So we shall see how that comes.
That one.
Okay, the match we just talked about was the main event, but this match.
Okay, so they are going to have the other one, right? Because
the cage matches, from what I have heard.
Yeah, because it's lights out, so it would make sense that it would be
I'm almost positive, unless they have changed it somewhere.
So I should have had that. I should have flipped these, but
in most cases, the title will usually close. But I think with this one, I think it's the lights out story.
Match. And
I don't know.
I didn't think about I was forgetting about the lights out factor of that.
That's all right. So we have the AEW World Championship match. It's Bryan Danielson is defending his title for the first time since All In against the current TNT champion, Jack Perry. Only the AEW championship is on the line here. This is not a title for title match or anything like that. It's just Jack Perry has wanted Danielson. He wanted Danielson before he retired. That type of thing. They did a little video story. I mean, it makes sense, but also, again, I don't know. This match doesn't connect with me. I don't know who I would have picked for Danielson's first opponent. It would not have been Jack Perry. I get doing Jack Perry in Chicago. I get it. Yes, but they could have done something else with Jack Perry in Chicago. But I get the Danielson stuff as well. But I mean, it's going to be a good match. It will be, I think
Bryan Danielson always has good matches.
Yeah, and I think he'll make Jack Perry bring out another level of himself, which is what Jack Perry needs to differentiate himself and to kind of put it at this point in his career. He needs to do that. So I think, again, the match will be good. USBA guy says, "Oh, you don't like House of Torture?" No, not really. I don't hate them as much as other people do, but I do get annoyed with them. But
it gets old. It's repetitive.
I do think that Jack Perry doing some of the House of Torture stuff in AEW is funny because I think most people don't realize that's what he's doing. I do like that he made his own title. I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
That's really cool. It shows you how determined he is, and that the title actually means something to him, even though it's his version of the title, which is interesting. So I assume whenever he loses the TNT title, the old one will be restored. But everybody gets a new TNT championship when they win one. They always do, because they had the red belt one for a while. So I feel like if I'm not mistaken, every TNT champion has gotten a new belt.
And Cody had his own when he started out.
Yeah.
So. They gave those to negative one and retired it. And that thing. So So it makes sense.
It's weird that and I guess that is another reason, like the full circle moment. Danielson is the one who rescued Jack Perry at All Out 2021. So that kind of brings it full circle and makes the storyline make sense. Where again, so I get like all the reasons they're doing it. It's still not where
we assume that Bryan Danielson's going to win here, but there are some like weird people out there that have said that like Jack Perry could.
Jack Perry is not winning this title, you guys.
Okay, so
he is not winning.
Good.
I don't think that
Sam is wise, and I will listen to this.
I don't think that Danielson is dropping the title to Darby Allin either at Grand Slam. I think
that was one of the weird
I think that it's possible that maybe down the line he could drop it to Darby. I don't think it's happening at Grand Slam either, no matter how much they've been talking about that possibility. I don't think that's happening, but Danielson Darby, because of they've got the Seattle or the Washington connection. Yeah. I don't see him dropping his title before Grand Slam because then Darby has to wrestle Jack Perry, which of course they have their storyline, and and I can see why people would think that, but I think Darby is wrestling Danielson. I think that's the match that they want. And Danielson's not losing on his first title defense. And he's going to be a fighting champion and all this. Danielson is going to drop the title, maybe before the end of this year, maybe not. Maybe he holds it going into Wrestle Dynasty. I could see him going into Tokyo Dome as the champion if we're looking. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's ZSJ.
That'd be awesome.
We still have ZSJ and Danielson. He said that he thinks Danielson's dropping the title no, I don't think Danielson's dropping the title to Zach. I don't think Zach is very much a New Japan.
Oh yeah.
Zach is winning the IWGP championship, whether it's at Wrestle Kingdom or in October. He's going to be the one to take that title off of Naito, I think.
I hope so.
I do think that they will do Danielson ZSJ either at Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty because it's the day after. And you would have both of them as champions. So it doesn't even have to be, it would be champion versus champion, but the title doesn't have to be on the line.
Yeah, but they could push that to like Forbidden Door or something.
Well, that's next. It depends on Danielson's neck. If Danielson's neck can hold out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Danielson will probably be.
Again, we know Danielson likes to lie.
Right.
But I do believe him when he says that he eventually needs neck surgery.
Well, I think
I think that he will. I think that his neck is in need of surgery. I don't think it's as bad as he makes it sound, because this is just what Danielson does. I think he will need surgery. I feel like he will hold as long as he can. Like, I think his title defenses will probably be not necessarily few and far between, maybe just at pay-per-views. Maybe he can wrestle like once a month. I could see that happening, or maybe he skips. He's got to wrestle at Wrestle Dream though, because it's New Japan and it's in Inoki's honor. Like, Danielson has to wrestle there. Perhaps he skips. I feel like, so then you have Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and World's End, and then Wrestle Kingdom / Wrestle Dynasty. I don't think that he'll be in the C2 again this year, especially because he has the title. But I think it's too much on his neck.
He doesn't need to win the championship. It's a good reason
they'll
to
use
keep him
that.
around.
They'll use that time to set up him and Zach. I think I could see Zach coming over, or they do the video promo type of thing that they like to do in New Japan. So I feel like they'll use that time. So regardless, I think Danielson retains here. I think he retains against Darby. I see him going into the Tokyo Dome as the champion.
I think that he does hold it for a while. It doesn't make sense to have given it to him if he doesn't hang on to it until he's ready to go. Like, which could be soon, or at least he's ready to retire from active service, as it were.
Yeah. And he did that because that reminded me, because I think he'll still be it'll be like Sting. He'll still be part of AEW. So Tony, somebody asked, is Sting
about Sting, and they said he's still backstage and hanging around.
Sting said they said Sting was backstage in Dallas at those shows, but they didn't want to give that away that he would be at Wembley, so they kept it quiet. But he comes and visits sometimes. He hangs out. He's still very much a part of AEW. He's just not an active wrestler, and Tony made it very clear that was his in-ring retirement. Like, he is done, but they just thought it would be a fun thing to have him come in that moment,
especially in Wembley, because he didn't get to do it, and that was a perfect. Right. That was one of those. That's like, you build those moments, and those are good moments. Those are perfect moments,
right? And so he saved.
Plus, those fans got to see him, and they probably didn't get to. I mean, no one got to see him on that level in this situation, so that's amazing.
Right. So that was, I think they were giving Sting his.
I liked that moment a lot. Actually,
they were giving the UK fans the moment to see him, and he got we got the full entrance, we got the Seek and Destroy music, we got the Tony Schiavone, it's Sting call, like we got the whole thing. He comes out, he saves Darby from being set on fire. so we got all of that, and I think that was the perfect way to use Sting. I wouldn't be shocked to see Sting at Grand Slam, just maybe he corners Darby for that match, or he's in the crowd watching from way up in the suites as Sting would do. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him around for some of Darby's bigger moments and things like that. And I still don't think Darby's winning at Grand Slam, but if they want to give that, you know what, maybe he could, because Sting is here, they could, use Sting kind of in that way as well. So I do think we'll see Sting on camera, but I think it'll be few and far between, and it'll be saved for stuff that makes sense, not just here's Sting because it's Sting. I think they'll use him in moments that make sense. So, but I am happy to see Sting in whatever capacity they decide to use him in.
Yeah. So
I believe that got
Danielson here. And that's everything.
Our matches. So do you have any? So you kind of mentioned that your sleeper match was Pac versus Ospreay. Yeah. Do you have any other matches that you are really looking forward to, or do you think it will be a standout or something you want to keep your eye on?
I am pretty looking forward to the Mercedes Judah match. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Exactly what I was just and the Willow and Stat also, I think, will actually be a really good match. The two women's matches, they look really good.
Yeah. And then we do have the Mariah celebration, so that could be interesting.
There could be anything.
That could be maybe Tony has made it back from Australia. We have not seen Tony since All In. But maybe we get a kind of an idea of where Mariah's going next. We don't really know what's next for her. Mina is in ROH and Mina is the baby face. So I don't know that, maybe they do Mina versus Mariah. I don't know that we get it this soon. But Mina is also the Rev Pro champion. She just won that title. So perhaps we kind of get an idea of where Mariah goes next, because she has had her Nyla Rose match, that's your initiation when you win a title. So maybe they go after. And Jamie's kind of doing her own thing. So I don't think they'll do Mariah Jamie anytime. I think they'll hold that off. Do you think we get any surprises tonight? Because All Out has been where we have seen, like that's where we saw Adam Cole. That's where he debuted. That's where Ruby Soho debuted. That's where Danielson debuted. We've had Ricochet debut
out there though.
The name I saw is Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley that name has been hanging around, because there are rumors about the hurt and because of Jon Moxley. Maybe it's not Bobby Lashley, but maybe Jon Moxley, because we talked about last week, I saw a tweet saying that perhaps Jon Moxley's new faction has kind of the more blood sport leaning thing. So perhaps Bobby Lashley could be with Jon Moxley and Marina. It's also interesting because somebody asked on the media call about the relationship with GCW and Bloodsport, because GCW has a show in Jersey the day before Full Gear, and so he was asking if there's some sort of a relationship, but he didn't really say anything about GCW, but he did mention Bloodsport specifically and Josh Barnett, that he respects Josh Barnett, he likes Josh Barnett, people that he respect Josh Barnett, meaning probably Mox and Marina. Right. I don't think they're the only two, but they're the two that come to mind because they've both done Bloodsport.
I guess you could have like a Josh Barnett run in. That'd be fun.
So well, yeah, you could do. It is Chicago. Yeah. I don't know where he's based out of though. Is Josh Barnett based in Chicago?
I'm not. I forget.
I'm not sure if he is. So maybe Jon Moxley has maybe he doesn't come for, maybe him and Darby don't have the match, but perhaps we find a little bit more about what they're doing and why they're doing it. It does feel like a split from BCC. It feels like Mox has outgrown them.
It definitely
I don't think that he's necessarily going to feud with them right now. I feel like Mox is just kind of doing his own thing, and maybe it will come back. Maybe they do turn on. Maybe it does set up whatever Mox's stable is versus BCC. Perhaps there's that. Bobby Lashley could show up. Still will hold out hope. I don't know where he would fit on this show. I still hold out hope for Scorpio Sky, but I feel like that's going to be a TV return at this point, just because they don't seem to know what they're doing with him. We got a tease of him like a month ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago in the private party thing, and then there's been nothing since then. So there's that. Hassan said that Ty Mello or Giselle, which we mentioned Ty as being a possibility of coming back with Mercedes since Camille is banned. Maybe this is how they bring Ty in or bring her back. Anna Jay is done with Stardom. Perhaps this is how they bring Anna Jay back in. Or Anna Jay and Ty were together. They were a tag team. They were TJ for a while. Maybe. Or maybe Mariah. She obviously clearly was in Stardom for a very long time. Maybe she recruits them to come do stuff with her because there's definitely some interesting possibilities, especially on the women's side of things for once, which is nice. We still, even though Megan Bain is no longer under contract, it sounds like the opening was still there. I don't know if she has a GCW match tonight, but perhaps this is where you bring Megan Bain in. or maybe of course, we talked about it earlier. There was the rumor of Becky Lynch, and I told Nikki last night, perhaps I don't think it's happening, but it would be really funny if Mercedes was the one to bring Becky in.
That would be funny.
That would be, to me, would be hilarious if it was Mercedes that brought Becky in. No. But I don't think Becky's coming. I think she will eventually return to WWE. But if she were to come in, that would be the way to do it, I think, is through Mercedes. And I think that would be, but I don't think you really want Becky Lynch. I guess she wouldn't necessarily be her muscle, though. She would just be like there to kind of even the odds, I guess. But that's kind of what Camille is. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that
I just can't think of anyone else that could, which is nice because maybe I'll be really, really surprised. And that'll be awesome.
So the names that I can think of off the top of my head are Giselle, Bobby Lashley, MVP, but also Bound for Glory is coming up. So if TNA got to them first, then I could see Bobby Lashley, maybe he comes after Nick Nemeth or something like that. They can do that. So, yeah, it'll be okay. Hassan says that Mina is wrestling in Stardom, so she will not be involved. Okay, so she will not be involved in the celebration. I did see Beth Phoenix in a picture. She visited Natty yesterday. They posted a picture together. And they are re-signing. So WWE is doing this thing now. They're called nostalgia contracts. So they're sort of Legends deals, but not quite, as in, and from the way Victoria explained it, they can use her likeness in video games and in merch. So it doesn't sound like it's an in-ring thing, but it's more to use them in video games and make merch of them, and so they get paid. I just saw Jacqueline was just signed to one of those deals. And I feel like there was somebody else another woman that just got signed to that deal. They could offer it to Beth Phoenix, but I don't know. I don't know if Beth still wants to wrestle or where she's at in her wrestling journey. But with Adam Copeland being in AEW, I don't know that she signs this Legends deal or this nostalgia deal, because perhaps she wants to leave the door open to come to AEW at some point and get involved. Or maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's like, you know what? I'm just going to take my money and I'm gonna just
finish out my career,
and you can just hear my voice on Adam's. You can hear my voice on Adam's entrance music when he comes back, and if he's definitely training, because there was a picture the other day, and it was Sting's son Garrett. He escaped Darby's tent. And he was training with Adam Copeland and FTR. Like last week. So
all right.
So he escaped the tent. Maybe he escaped the tent when Darby was in London. But now that Darby's back, he has returned to the tent in Darby's front yard.
There you go.
Or backyard, or wherever it is. But yeah, so I think that's it for us, unless there's anything you want to add. I do want to remind you that there is a post show about a half an hour after the main event, and it is going to be Kevin Ely and Jeremy Finestone. We'll be back on this very network, so if you have not already, make sure that you subscribe to the Fight Game Media YouTube, and if you turn on your notifications, it will let you know when we go live. Typically, we're Sundays at 1:00. There is the Dynamite show on Wednesdays. There is on Thursdays is Speaking of Strong Style. There's also the 5-Star Joshi show. Sometimes Garrett has shows. And if you're looking for WWE coverage wherever you find your podcast, you can find The Wrap, where Keela and Scott recap all things WWE for you. So that is there. So there's a lot of really great content. So we definitely recommend that you follow us here. And then if you want to follow Mel and I, we are at Powerbombshells on you can find we're at Powerbombshells on Twitter and on Instagram, and then individually you can also follow us as well. We'll put up
I have had that up, but I'll throw that up there.
I'll put that back.
You have something to say. If you have direct beef with one of us, you can just go ahead. Or if you have something nice to say, because
yes,
we appreciate you guys.
A root beer and pizza party.
That sounds delicious.
That sounds like something I want. Maybe I have to do that for the next pay-per-view.
I love good root beer and pizza together. It's just
I haven't had that.
Great
so
thing.
awesome. Yeah,
It's
have fun
for me because we used to serve that at our restaurant. So I mean,
yeah,
we had a homemade root beer.
Ooh, I bet that was good.
So delicious. You could taste the wintergreen, and it was beautiful. Okay. Anyway, so
yeah.
So make sure that you have good pregame snacks for your
yeah, you can feel free to add us what your snacks are.
Yeah. Feel free on Powerbombshells or Instagram or any of the other places. And we do appreciate you guys hanging out with us in the chat. It's really cool to talk to you guys every week.
Yes. And even if we can't get to all your comments, we like that you talk amongst yourselves. We are glad that we've created a community where you can do that.
And whether you believe it or not, we are occasionally looking over and chuckling. So
yeah, thank you, Hassan. If you enjoy the show, I hope everybody enjoys the show that's watching. And if you're not watching, I hope that you are following along somewhere where you can keep up, and then you can always check out the post show and hear everybody talk about it there. And again, we'll be back next Sunday at our regular time at 1 o'clock. We'll be going up against the NFL. That is that's our big feud
we fear nothing. We are fearless.
Every fall, we reignite our feud with the NFL on Sundays at 1 o'clock Eastern.
See, we have beef with Tony Khan on multiple levels.
This is true.
So we cover all the bases. All right. Everybody have a great All Out.